turn your microphone on, sir.
Should be on.
Oh, it's on. Hey, I hear you. You'd think we mic test, but we don't.
It's all fuel.
Especially today. We agreed. Um, I was gonna say determined, but we agreed that this week we thought the best theme was all heart, no brains.
So we didn't prepare. So I think that we kind of
All heart, no brains. That's gonna be my motto for the rest of the night. All heart, no brains, and hot takes central. So basically, just a normal episode.
yeah
So
yeah.
obviously, last week we talked about backyard baseball a lot and backyard sports, and how Pablo was the generational talent that you expected him to be. But I
Who's
do
Michael Jordan when you got Pablo Sanchez?
well, exactly Michael who, but going off that, you know who's underrated, and I meant to mention this last week, and I just didn't because, um, again, all heart, no brains. Pete Wheeler. I think Pete Wheeler is the most underrated of all the backyard kids.
Yeah.
Think about it. He has. I'll use baseball scouting here. He's got decent power, decent arm, right? His speed is elite. Like, for what he lacks in seemingly the mentals, he makes up for in speed. He is basically backyard sports said we need a Forrest Gump, and they just made Forrest Gump as Pete Wheeler, and that's
So
something I
his
really.
marathon time will be better than yours, or
Oh, I think so. I think all the backyard kids' marathon time is better than mine because my marathon time is not good yet. We'll work on it. Hopefully that in this next one we break the 6 hour threshold. That's the goal for this year. To beat six, which would be improving by an hour and 5 minutes or so. So you can figure out how long it took me to run a marathon with just a little bit of math. But that's using your brain, and this is all heart, no brains. So you can't do the math. That's right. I used logic on the Logicless podcast. I was gonna say I'm not sure if you're perplexed or impressed. You know?
I'll figure that out later.
I think we'll both figure that out later. I'll get a text from you at 3 o'clock this morning. Tomorrow morning, you like, I'm disappointed in you, and I'll be like, I'm disappointed in me too.
I know you'll be disappointed in me when I take Taysom Hill in the first round. So that was fun.
If you take Taysom Hill in the other fantasy league we're in, because obviously if you saw the Instagram post, that's where we put it so far. Maybe Twitter as well. I don't actually remember. I'm sorry,
Oh, we
X.
put it everywhere.
Everywhere. Obviously, I do have the better team, but you taking. So I was banking on you taking CMC. I was banking on you taking McCaffrey when I
Well,
saw
I
you
mean,
had first overall.
yeah, I wanted a running back first, and then I ended up getting two. And then,
And then I lost in the waivers game for Jerome Ford, so I'm a little upset on that one. With Chubb being physically unable to perform for the first, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks.
4. So
It's
that designation is 4. Is the first 4 weeks.
okay, so it'll be the first four. I didn't know how long it was, but I was like, I have to take Nick Chubb. Like, I'm a Browns fan. He's one of my favorite players. He's actually the only Cleveland Brown on my team, I think, excluding
Oh,
defense, because I have the defense. I have the Browns defense. I could be wrong. I haven't actually looked at my team since we drafted last.
yeah. And I mean, you got him late, so
Oh, because I saw that.
yeah, that
I saw I could steal. Going back to draft grades and the draft. Did you see what Yahoo said? Have you read like what Yahoo said about us? our particular drafts?
I gotta find. I saw it, and then I gotta find it.
It said my biggest
Actually,
reach.
I wanna.
It said my
I
biggest.
do want to.
It it gave me a D minus for a draft grade, and I don't care. Its draft grading system's awful. I got statistically the best kicker in the NFL last year. I got statistically the best quarterback in the NFL last year. Um, but it said that was my biggest reach was getting Tua when I got him. How is getting the statistic best guy in like the sixth round a reach?
You know what's a hot take?
Yahoo's analysis of your fantasy football draft.
The fact that the search through my email for a verification code.
Oh, I do use the authenticator on my phone. I use the Google one.
I'm just gonna do this real quick. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm gonna react to this once I put this up.
Sorry, I was getting a work text.
No, but if you could screen grab
Do you want me to screen?
both of ours,
Yeah, I will.
if you screen grab both of ours, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that
And then we're just
when we get off tonight. When we
we'll go back to square. So let's go back to square one, and we're actually gonna restart the draft grids hot take,
okay.
just so that it's more organized.
Okay. I'm waiting on you, sir, because you're telling me.
I got them up. Both.
I was gonna say here. Let me.
I got yours up first.
Hold on. I'm pulling it up on my computer so I can read it because I will read it. I will read it word for word and explain why I think it's the biggest hot take.
I hope you know this is gonna be the TikTok reel, whatever
That's
that we're
fine.
posting first out of this hot batch of glamorous takes that'll take over the internet in a very
Draft
select
grades.
region.
So I don't have the order we drafted them, but so but as I've stated, my team is in Taysom we trust. I always take Taysom Hill for the last 3 years. We rode that train this year. I had the second overall pick in a draft that left much to be desired. In Taysom we trust managed to secure a D minus grade, setting the stage for a less than stellar season with a projected record of 4-11 and a ninth place finish looming. The team's prospects are about as promising as a goblin in a beauty pageant. Which, by the way, I read that line the first time and I was dying laughing. Despite snagging George Kittle at a steal in the 62nd pick, the excitement was quickly deflated by the head-scratching decision to reach for Tua at 42. A move even a village fool would question. Now, mind you, in our draft, before I read paragraph 2, the board was starting. People were already taking quarterbacks long before I took Tua. Mahomes was gone long before. Josh Allen was gone long before. And I reached for the statistically best quarterback last year. Reached for statistically best quarterback last year. So I don't think that is a. I don't think it was a reach getting Tua. He was my biggest one. I got him what? I got him apparently 61 picks ahead of where he's normally been drafted this year. But it was the 5th round. It was the 5th round. So the 6th round's when I took Kettle. As if the draft grades wasn't cringeworthy enough, in Taysom we trust faces the daunting task of navigating the toughest schedule in the league, with one player chilling on bye week 6. It seems like the fantasy gods are already plotting against them. It's safe to say in Taysom we trust might need a miracle or two to defy the odds and avoid becoming the league's entertainment punching bag. Again, a team that consists of Tyreek Hill. Oh, I have my pick order. I took Tyreek Hill, then I took Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans was the biggest reach. I took him round 2. He's old. And then another pretty big reach. I took Marvin Harrison Jr. in the third round. Fourth round, I took Joe Mixon. Then I took Tua. I really was going to do it in the other order, but I was afraid you were going to take Mixon if I didn't snag him when I did.
Wait, me?
Oh yeah, you were the only one I was
Did
worried.
you not? Do you not remember who I took back to back?
I know, but I thought you were going to go for the 4 running back strategy, and Tua, or not Tua, Mixon would have fit in that, so that's why I took Mixon before I took Tua. And
I think.
so then I took Najee,
No.
then I took Kettle, then I took Cleveland, then I took the statistically best kicker in the NFL last year, Brandon Aubrey, the Dallas Texans, yes, the Dallas Cowboys kicker, statistically the best kicker in the NFL last year, and he was an old rookie, mind you, being 28, but he was 10 for 10 from 50 plus yards last year. So I'm thinking he's going to be very busy because I think the Cowboys suck, and that's why I went. Took an injured Nick Chubb in the 10th round. Took Cortland Sutton. I don't even know who he is, but he has a cool name. I took Baker, Zeke. I took Taysom Hill in the 14th, and last pick was rookie Xavier Leggett.
Which I actually think.
I think
People are saying he's going to be like the very underrated.
I thought he was I thought he was a very underrated rookie. I also probably have the 2 best rookie receivers. If you want me to be completely honest. And the only reason I'm not gonna play Xavier Leggett week 1 is because I have Mike Evans, I have Tyreek Hill, and I have Harrison Jr. And I'm gonna let Harrison Jr. go week 1. Although Leggett's a 0% rostered on Yahoo.
Here's the thing, though. I'm gonna play off of that for a minute. Is that I pulled up this fantasy projection site, and this has to do with the betting prop on him for his receiving yards.
Promise he's
Both
in
of those
Carolina.
had a very, very low total. I think his betting prop was 550, and his projections is just under 600. I think he's gonna just slam that over.
Again, the problem is he's on Carolina, and Carolina's just not as strong.
No, but he's so they're saying that they got Deontay Johnson.
I don't know. I'm debating doing something wild, and especially so. The nice thing is if Tyreek gets hurt and he goes from being questionable to not playing at all, I will very much be slotting Leggett in. I honestly think Cortland Sutton will play less than Leggett for my team. But like my running backs are pretty solid. Joe Mixon and Najee Harris. I would have liked to have another running back, but there's not really another running back in the league that I'm looking at that I'm like, ooh, that's a guy.
I mean, I think your draft wasn't terrible.
I think my
Like,
draft
getting
was
Kittle-
much.
No, getting Kittle late like that, Kittle should have been gone by the time you picked
Oh,
Tua.
the fact that Kittle was still there, I was like, well, I'm gonna take him because I do need like if the Taysom Hill experiment fails, which it never has, but if it fails, I need to have a backup plan.
Oh, and if you haven't seen the Taysom reel that we made about 2 weeks ago,
Almost 3 now.
go find it and check it out, please. That's our best It's our best piece of content so far. Shameless plug.
No,
Not a hot take.
Not a hot take. Probably the only non-hot take of the night, right? I was looking at the players that like were available and stuff, and like I wanted Jerome Ford. That's the only. I'm slightly regretting taking Zeke over Jerome Ford.
Might as well get.
Because because it was really a Jerome Ford's going to be the Brown starter for the first 4 weeks. That's just like facts. I can tell you without a doubt that's facts. Jerome Ford's that good of a running back.
I think I'll give my hot take, but all my hot takes later on are all football related.
That's right.
But I think the Browns can be. They'll figure it out until he comes back.
No, I agree. And I think if the Browns win 2 of those 4 games, I think they'll be fine.
No, they'll be fine just in general because they didn't really drastically change anything.
I think I think they're a team that could have, for the first time in a long time, being a Cleveland fan, I can say this. They didn't need to change a single thing.
Now they got 4 quarterbacks, so that'll be fun to figure out. But
That's fine. It's just the nice way of saying we're finding Deshaun Watson's replacement.
that's not a hot take either. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly. Like, it is what it is. I'm noticing you're a little bit quiet, so I'm just gonna turn you up a little bit and see if the balance is a little better for editing. But I think that segues nicely. So, Alex, I think that first kind of set of hot takes. My favorite thing to have for hot takes: champions. Who you think's gonna win? We're gonna cover.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
You're forgetting my draft, buddy.
We don't need to worry about your draft. It sucked.
But we're gonna analyze my draft
All right.
because that's what we do here.
Fine.
All right, so the Florida Flanks, which is the best fantasy name you could possibly think of for the league that we're in.
No, I still think my name's better.
You trust a 34-year-old jackknife of a quarterback, so
I have
I'll
the,
let you
I
look
have
at
the Swiss Army knife of a quarterback.
But let's just say I managed an A+ grade, even though I feel like I'll get into it, but I feel like I kind of slipped up in a couple places.
You mean Derrick
But-
Henry being
No,
as old,
not at all.
30 years old?
Well, so I took Brock Bowers at pick 81. Rookie tight end out of Georgia. I think he's going to do work. We also took Aaron Jones to pick before that at pick 80 compared to his 53rd overall draft slot. So maybe I used the brain a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the first pick again in this league. Never had that kind of luck in my life. Hot take there.
That's fair.
So I consensus 1-1. Chris McCaffrey.
So ironically,
Derrick Henry.
it says, yeah, Henry. It says you took 6 picks late, which I don't think. I think Henry's a little washed. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think where I took Derrick Henry compared to like the draft pool this year had a lot of different players kind of trending upward. So like Amon-Ra St. Brown was trending upward. CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase kind of slid up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with players going up, some are going to go down. Derrick Henry is going to go down. So, in fact, I got two of the top running backs in fantasy, arguably. In my first 2 picks, we
As
are
long-
very content with that.
As long as they stay healthy.
Exactly. Then we took Travis Kelce, third.
Yeah, no,
Not gonna lie.
that was a great pick. I'm not gonna lie, Kelsey had been around. I was gonna take Kelsey if you hadn't. I forget
That's
who
fair.
I forget who I took with my 3rd pick, but Kelsey was definitely on my radar for rounds 3, 4. So
All right. So I'm gonna lay out. So I'm gonna kind of go on a little ramble here because I'm probably gonna end up clipping this.
That's fine.
So, my receiver room in my fantasy draft, I still think I kind of stumbled there, but also I don't think I did at the same time. So my first receiver on the board was Chris Olave in the fourth round. Then I wanted a quarterback. We took C.J. Stroud after that,
I think that was a great pick.
and then we went George Pickens and Keenan Allen consecutive picks. Now I thought Keenan Allen was gonna be in that fifth round. In fact, I stole him at 7 in the seventh round. I'm content with that. Like, I could have gone after any of the other elite receivers in the second or third round if I wanted to, but I decided to secure a few other positions first. But I think the big play potential of those three receivers kind of outweighs taking a Justin Jefferson, a C.D. Lamb, a Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the fact that I have three guys that can do all of that, but won't get talked about as much.
So,
But their production would be just about the same.
I would say I think I'm the only person in our league that has a better receiving core than you. Honestly,
I gotta look. Yeah, you're not wrong, but I think that for
'Cause-
where
because I have Tyreek, I have Mike Evans, and then we have the question mark with Harrison Jr. But assuming he's anything like his dad, that's an easy win of a pick.
no, but even Marvin was gonna be an early round pick anyway, just because of that.
No, exactly. And then like I have more like fringe receivers, but Cortland Sutton had 10
ended
touchdowns
up-
last year. That's pretty damn good. And then I have rookie Xavier Legette, but
No, but I think taking Olave, Pickens, Allen as where I did, really I think kind of shaped out like those are gonna be the locks in my lineup for a while.
no, like I said,
And later on,
I think you have
later
a
on.
super solid team.
I think getting Jackson Smith, Jinba, and Jameson Williams like late. I just wanted to just get depth at wide receiver because I can figure out any running back problems, but I already have. I got it all figured out in this one. But I think I waited till fourth. I'm trying to make a hook here, so we're gonna see. We're creating content while creating content at the same time. We're smart like that. So I took my first receiver in the fourth round of my fantasy draft, and I don't regret that decision.
No, that's valid. I think you made a great choice. I think it's funny because you know what I did with my first 3 rounds? I took a receiver in all of the first 3 rounds.
Here's the thing.
My wide receiver, I went into this draft saying, if you go running back, I'm gonna just steal all the receivers from the whole damn league, and that's really what I did. Honestly.
No, but here's the thing, though. I feel like I picked 3 receivers in Olave, Pickens, and Allen that are going to be. Those are 1 receivers on their respective teams. Allen might be a 2, depending on how you look at it. But
Allen's gonna be weird too because he's on a new team, but
yeah,
and it's
I
the
feel like
Bears.
those. Like, honestly, I couldn't have lucked out with Pickens, Allen, and Chris Olave in a 3 and 4 pick situation. I feel like that actually kind of worked out the way that I wanted it to, without really expecting it to.
That's fair. Like I said, I'm really happy with my team now. I think, honestly, I probably have the best drafted fantasy football team I've ever drafted. And that says a lot.
But what's kind of funny too is I took like everybody at their like their slot from last year to this year didn't change.
Yeah.
Like their ranking didn't change at all.
So like your biggest changes you had, um, your eighth pick was 27 picks late. Your ninth pick was
yeah,
31 picks early, and then your 14th pick was 27. And I think that's how the game, the analysis kind of gives you that draft grade is based on how other people draft. So like your A plus is because you fell kind of in line with like how the experts would have drafted, right? Like based on their average position and whatever. Whereas like if you look at mine, like apparently I took Tyreek Hill one pick early, which, eh. And then I took, I don't even know who I took second. I took Mike Evans 6 picks early, but I took Harrison 3 picks late. Um, I took Mixon a pick late. I took Tua 61 picks early, but I think the way our draft was going,
you kind of had to make that kind of reach.
I had to reach for. He wouldn't have been there on the 6th round.
I feel like
Come back the other way, I don't think he would have been there. And I knew I wanted Tua because you know what? He has two elite weapons in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
and then the track team running back room with all their 4.2 40-yard dashes and whatnot.
No, exactly. So like, I was like this. The way I looked at it is, because it's your average draft position. Well, I drafted a guy Tua really early, but you know what? If he has a monster year, his average draft, it's not gonna matter. And I think that's the thing. Like, I look at everyone like their average draft position graph, and it's like the people that have the worst graphs, or the people that made the picks that I think are like again, we were eating up most of the tight ends pretty early too. So like the guy that got the worst draft grade in our league, he took Cole Kmet in the 4th round, which I think is a solid choice. But that tanked his draft grade.
Even like Mark Andrews went in the 7th round.
Yeah, so I know you weren't in the Discord chat. I was, and
I thought I was, but I never looked at it.
I didn't the voice chat, like they had a voice chat going during the actual draft.
Oh, I didn't even.
Yeah. So
know
like
that.
they were talking about how we picked the first, like to recap the conversation and make it appropriate, TOS reasons. They were talking about how it was going to be CMC, it was going to be Tyreek, and then I forget who else was supposed to go. And then they were like, one of them was talking about how they wanted Marvin Harrison, as I had him floating on my list to click, so I took him obviously. And then I forget who they said I was going to take when I took Tua, but I took Tua instead because I wanted him. And then I think the other person I robbed was, they were talking about Zeke near the end, and I took him. Or no, it was Baker. It was Baker. I built my draft list. I built this draft. I got every player except for one that I wanted.
So here's the
There's
thing,
only
right?
one player I wanted that I didn't get, and I knew I wouldn't get him, and it was McCaffrey. But otherwise,
Honestly,
I built my draft board like the day before, and I said, "This is the order I'm picking them," and everyone was there when I got to that pick, and I was like, "Oh, sweet, I'm just taking him, just taking him." Like, that's why my picks. You were in the draft room. How long were my picks? Like 5 seconds. I was the
I
fastest
tried to.
drafter.
I think I had a couple like towards the end where I kind of just knew my lat. Like I know, like I knew my first like 4 based on how things are going, and then when I got to like Pickens and once I got Stroud, picks like 6 to 10 were just kind of like, all right, whoever's here, and then I can kind of figure out the rest.
So like I had Chubb on my board pretty high, but I kept pushing him back each round. I think I was originally going to take him in the 6th round, and then I saw that he was physically unable to perform, and I was like, all right, this is where I'll jump ahead and I'll grab Najee because I need a running back here at this pick. And then Kittle was still available when we came back around the 7th round. I was like, that first of all, everyone knows I'm taking Taysom Hill. Like, if I hadn't drafted him, the only thing I was debating doing was not draft Taysom Hill for the 3rd year in a row. Pick him up because one of my players is always on the IR when I start the season. But I got Cleveland's defense, which I thought was solid. I think they have easily a top five defense in the league when healthy.
And I'm surprised. Like, I'm looking at the whole board now, but
Oh yeah, you can see the
like,
draft you can see the whole
yeah,
redraft,
like,
right?
yeah, but like Joe Burrow was taken before C.J. Stroud. Like,
And, like, were there better
Brock
quarterbacks?
Purdy went in. Like, I feel like Stroud should have gone.
So Lamar went in the first round.
Yeah, I
Hurts
saw
went in the
that.
second. I want to see if we got a quarterback going all. Mahomes went in the third.
Yeah,
Burrow
Josh,
went in the
yeah,
fourth.
Allen, yeah, 3 in the fifth.
Um, yeah, 'cause
Richardson sounds about right.
Stroud, Tua,
And
and then Purdy. Brock Purdy felt. I was shocked that Purdy was still available when I picked Tua, but I was like, Brock Purdy's good, but I think
I thought like
statistically,
Kyler Murray went up too.
so I don't think people. I think people would just. I think a lot of the picks were like very much like,
React.
oh yeah, we definitely did a lot of reaction picking, and I think a lot of the guys in our league do a lot of like the research to the point where like they're so locked in on what the analysts say, they don't look at a lot of the real world stuff because like a lot of people were talking about, or not a lot of people, but a few people in the chat, they were talking about how like some of the someone was like, oh, I wouldn't touch Zeke because he's just old. After talking about how they were going to take Hopkins, D Hop, and I was like, they're both just old. Like, and it was the same with like the Ravens tight end there.
Andrews.
Yeah, Mark Andrews. Another one that they were like, oh, I wouldn't touch him because he's just old, and it's like, those are the risks you got to take if you want to win.
I mean, my only kind of stupid decision that both of my quarterbacks have the same bye week, but
So, do you want
I'll
to
figure that out.
now that the draft's over and I don't care about our other league as much, I'll still draft it seriously. But do you know how I went for my draft strategy? There were two components to my draft strategy. Obviously, get the guys I want. The second component to my draft strategy was quite literally try not to have a lot of people on the same bye week. Look at my team. Most of my guys, I have a maximum of 2 players on any given bye week. I'm pretty sure. It's very low. So I have 6. I think is my worst bye week. I have 2 players with a week 6 bye.
I mean, that's just on me.
Week 7.
That's the one thing I don't look at either. Like, I could just plug somebody
Yeah.
in.
No, I don't have. I don't have
like,
more
I'm
than.
gonna just plug.
I do not have more than 2 people on a bye any given week all season. This is the first time I haven't had a bye week hell. So that's great. Like,
I mean,
yeah, do I have? Is my backup lineup not as good? Yeah. Well, actually, honestly, I kind of stole Baker Mayfield. That's a great pick for my backup quarterback. Honestly.
I mean, for me, like I am like one of my backups. 2 of my backups have that week 14.
I lied. I have 4 players with a week 11 bye because I have Mike Evans and Baker, and then the Panthers are on the bye, and the Cardinals are on the bye. So I do have 4 players on the bye week 11. Week 11 is my biggest bye week. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I feel like
so late in the season.
in my spot,
Guys are gonna be injured, or I'll be able to trade for underperforming players for performing players.
like I don't see it as a big deal until I get there. Like I'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it.
I was like, if I can nip it in the bud though, and I can get way ahead of it. Honestly, with this IR slot that I have, I'm debating taking the second kicker.
There you go.
Hey, I've had 2 kickers most years. It's actually a
Fair.
very valid strategy
I think-
because you trade off one of your kickers after bye week. especially if one of you does an early bye week. You can sell them after that bye week, and you're good. Because you know what? You get something for that kicker that you had, and it's so valuable. I think I traded Justin Tucker 1 year. Like the Ravens had a pretty early bye. I traded him on his bye week because he wasn't my kicker, and my kicker, or I'm sorry, I traded him on my kicker's bye week, so he kicked for me that week, and I traded him as soon as the Sunday night game started, and his points were locked. I traded. Someone had wanted to trade for him. I said, go for it. He's on the bye next week, and I got like a wide receiver or something for it because there were no good kickers, and I had a guy that was hitting 50-yard nukes. So it'll be interesting to see how the draft grades shape up. I'm gonna refer back to it every week, and I will be reading at least my draft or my weekly recap. Win or lose, I'll read that. I'll read it every week, and I laugh because it roasts you. It roasts you even when you win. It roasts you.
I think every week we should do the fantasy football recap. That'll be a good.
Yeah, I'm
Be a
down.
good little piece.
That can be how we start.
Well-
We'll just feed our weekly recaps because we'll be doing this on Wednesdays or Thursdays. We will be shifting to Thursdays here soon, just due to hockey season.
Small little sports season, nothing major.
Yeah. All right.
I have an NFL take that
Okay.
after watching Sports Center this morning and kind of reading into the Twitter stream about it, it kind of hits home for you. Maybe about 7-ish miles compared to where your bungalow may be.
Okay. So it has to do with
All right.
Paycor Stadium.
I think Jamar Chase is doing a Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, I agree. I 100% agree. After seeing what I saw on Twitter this morning, while I was going to the bathroom, I agree 100%.
The case is there. It's like, so this is what bothers me about holdouts, is that, and he's the prime example of this. Right? He's at least he's there. At least he's in the building, but he's not at the same time because he's not doing anything. All the clips I've seen is him catching balls, tossing them into a trash bucket. But thing with Jamar Chase, and this has been the thing with him since he got drafted, is that every analyst, every fan knew that he was going to be a receiver that was going to get his money when this time came. I just think he's doing it a year early. And this is why he's just kind of waiting to. And the Bengals don't have to do anything. Like, they have a year to pay him. Usually, because he's got one more contracted year before he goes into his option. And the option year is where you see those holdouts really happen. That's what Brandon Ayuk's up to right now. But back to the point of him being like Le'Veon Bell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's hurting his case to get the most amount of money. That he's gonna, you know what he was talking about. You want to get paid like 2 positions back in the day.
Yeah.
It's just that Jamar thinks that he's gonna reset the market when the Bengals have to figure out their own cap space probably.
So I think I'm gonna piggyback off your take here real quick. Make a hot take of my own. But honestly, like I do like football, but I'll tell you, I don't go out of my way to watch it like most people do. Like I watch it, I follow it, but because of the egos, and I've noticed they've gotten way worse in the last 5 years, or at least it feels like they've gotten way worse in the last 5-10 years. Antonio Brown is my favorite example of that. It's made me fall out of love with football to some extent. And I hate saying that because I do love football, but those egos in general, like, I can tell you this is the first year I've watched less than a quarter of the preseason ever. Usually I watch at least a full game, and not necessarily just a Browns game. I watch at least a full game or I listen to it. But I didn't. I turned on a quarter of the Patriots Commanders game on Sunday night. I watched the fourth quarter and that was it. And I didn't mind because I'm just the egos in the NFL are just they getting these guys are getting too big for their britches, so to speak.
I'm gonna go back on to what I was saying with Chase here is that everybody knows he's gonna get the money that he's gonna get. So that with the cap space is forever going up, this is just gonna be a yearly issue, and he's just gonna until the higher level executives in the league just put a curb on it. Everybody's gonna hold out. Everybody's gonna hold in and kind of just not do the. They arguably have some of the easiest jobs out of the entire job market, right? Is to show up and play a game with. They get paid millions of dollars to literally show up somewhere, play a game, and go home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this was earlier today, might have been yesterday, of Ja'Marr Chase is 15 minutes late to practice in street clothes after the head coach of the Bengals said that he was going to play week 1.
Mm-hmm.
That makes the coach look like an idiot.
Oh yeah.
That honestly hurt. That's going to hurt his reputation. Like, it just gets to a point where, you know, if I'm the Bengals, like, I might as well kind of note this, and then when it comes time to negotiate, if they're not negotiating already, it's a, you know, what were you doing all training camp? Like 5% of the work of the rest of your teammates? Like,
yeah, why do you deserve this money, right? Like,
it's like we know that we have to pay you. We know we have the analytics that's going to give us a number of how much to pay you per year and whatnot. But it's just like he's doing it in a way that just gives me that Le'Veon Bell. If you're not going to give me what I want, I'm going to just complain about it, whine about it, and go to a place that might not be able to afford that. So but it's just like, I kind of knew that he was going to be the one to kind of prolong this into the season. Like, CeeDee Lamb took care of his business. He's all good now, right? And I wasn't worried about him because I knew the Cowboys would eventually figure it out.
well,
But with the Bengals,
hold on.
the Bengals are a different situation.
Hold up here. The Cowboys haven't figured anything out. They don't know what a playoff game is, realistically.
I don't know what Super Bowl is.
They haven't seen a Super Bowl in my lifetime. So
I'm just saying,
granted, the Browns also have it, but they took a year off. So I can say that.
What I'm saying is that you take a team like the Bengals in the market they're in, they don't necessarily have the luxury to pay out. You know, typically they don't pay one of those deals. They gave one of those to Joe Burrow. And Jamar's expecting them to find that equivalent amount of money for him. Like, I don't think they're feasibly going to do that without blowing up the roster.
Oh, I agree, and I honestly, if they want to not pay him as much, what they do, honestly, especially with it being the Patriots week 1, hot take, don't play him. Just, dude doesn't want to do the work, he doesn't play, right? That automatically that hurts his contract negotiation right there. Because think about it, even though the Patriots are a bad team, now, it's very weird saying the Patriots are a bad team. Why not take advantage of that and say, fuck it, I'm not going to pay you. We're not going to play you, and we don't have to pay you because, you know, we're going to go beat the Patriots, right? You beat the Patriots week 1. Well, hey, we're a 1-0 team. There's a good chance that they are not in last place in the AFC North just because they chose to not play Ja'Marr Chase. And being an ego-driven, psychology-based game that football is, because there's a lot of that at the end of the day. How much does that weigh on Chase? And he says, "Oh fuck, like might not be as important to this team as I think I am.
I mean, they paid the guy who's more important to the team
They
already.
paid the quarterback, and I'm not saying receivers aren't important. I think receivers are quite important. I think O line's underrated. I think those are the guys that get fucking shit on all day, and they don't get um, the recognition they deserve because their job isn't highlights. You don't go on YouTube and look for friggin' O line highlights, and if you do, you're a little bit messed up in the head or a scout. And I will die on that hill.
I think the thing with him is that, like, everybody, like, as I was saying earlier, it doesn't take a whole lot to know that he's one of the top receivers in the league. Like, that's just kind of page 1, paragraph 3 fact sheet right there. You know what I mean? That's not hard to find. That's not hard to prove. But the longer this goes on, I think the Bengals go pay T. Higgins and let him walk after next year.
I think that's the right move, honestly. If I'm the Bengals locker room, if I'm on the coaching staff, yes, a one man coaching staff, that makes total sense. Um, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm gonna look at it from a personality standpoint, right? Like, especially in the NFL or any sports league, right? Especially stateside, we have hard salary caps in our sports, except for baseball. And because we have hard salary caps in our sports, you have to make sure personality matches. If the personalities don't match, the money is always going to be harder to make it work, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think if this guy's proving he's not good for the chemistry, why pay him? Because you can go get someone else that's better for the chemistry and hopefully is almost as productive, and your other guys will pick up the slack. That'd be Michael's opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of giving me that impression of, like, that he thinks that, like, his own contributions are going to be more important. It's one of those I versus team type things.
And
Where it's like, I think him showing up doesn't even do anything. Like, my whole point about holdouts is that you could hold in, it has the same effect as you're not doing anything.
So I actually think it does something, and I think it hurts his negotiation power. I think it hurts a lot of it because he shows up, he doesn't do jack, right? If I'm management, I'm looking at that personality and I'm saying, well, this dude's worth X millions of dollars on paper. Let's sell him. Let's sell that X millions of dollars contract that's up this year for like a 4th round pick, because right now he's actually as productive as next year's 4th round pick is for my team. He's doing the exact same amount right now because he's not participating. He's not doing his job. Some kid that's in college right now who's not in the NFL, who's going to class getting his degree in underwater basket weaving is just as productive for my team right now as our arguably best receiver, because he's not showing up to work.
Alright, so I'm doing the little Google search as we do this just to add some more content to this. Is that they want to make him the highest paid receiver.
Sorry,
but
I have a stack of DVDs on my desk and they were falling over, so I was trying to fix it.
So his goal is to make 1 cent more than Justin Jefferson. I'm like, that statement right there.
So again, it goes back to my point I made about 15 minutes ago. The egos of the NFL are driving me away from the NFL, and I hate it. Like, obviously, I work in arena football. I've been to college football. I've been to the NFL. I've been to those games. I'd rather go to an arena or a lower college where you have way less ego, because then that's where football is fun. That's where it's fun for me to watch. That's where I go and I say, oh shit, you actually are happy to be here. You're enjoying what you're doing. That's the personality I want. That's my thing. I'm willing to see a technically less talented athlete that's not as ego driven, and I think that's kind of how I formed all my fandoms. Ironically, because I think if you look at the teams I'm a fan of, a pretty consistent thing across the board is they don't have very many people with huge egos, and it's wild to say that because I'm a Yankees fan, right? But honestly, of those '90s Yankees, like those late '90s, early 2000s Yankees teams, I can't look at any of the guys on that team and be like, at least like the players that I truly liked, Jeter, Posada, Rivera. None of those guys seem to really have these big egos about them, and I loved that. I absolutely loved that. They were like, I go to work and I do my job, and that's the type of athlete I love. And I think I've definitely identified with teams that have that type of athlete. I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan. Same thing. Like, I really can't think of a guy that like the first thing I think about the guy is his ego is a thing. Like, to be completely honest. Um,
Yeah, and I think like
for
I know
football,
this isn't gonna go away.
I'm a Cleveland Browns
Like,
fan. For football, I'm still more than I'm probably one of the most vocally upset people I know about the Deshaun Watson situation. Because again, it's more his ego than anything. Like I was like, that's not good for the team. I didn't much like Odell Beckham Jr. Same thing. It's a big ego. They're great athletes, and I'm not saying they're not great athletes, but I didn't like them on my team because I don't like the big ego. I didn't like Johnny Manziel, and I was afraid of Baker at first because I thought he was going to have this huge ego about him, and he did a little bit. But I think being on Cleveland, being humbled a little bit, kind of reset him, and I grew to like Baker, and then Cleveland got rid of him,
yeah, and I mean,
which also reset
Steelers,
the ego.
yeah, and the Steelers do the same thing where they just most of the time if there's an ego, they're gone. So AB being the big one, they let Levy and Bell walk away.
I
Same
mean,
deal.
you had Big Ben, but I think I will say this: I don't like Ben Roethlisberger, but he earned his ego. He earned his ego the way he played.
Yeah, that's the difference between the players when we were growing up. So the Tom Brady's and Peyton Mannings of the world is that they've climbed the mountain, they've done it.
Honestly,
They can be a dick if they wanted to, but
so it's funny because like one of my biggest reasons I hated Tom Brady was his ego because I felt like up until near the end of his career, probably like what his last 5 6 years of his career, I really didn't think he had earned the ego that he had driven, even though he had all those Super Bowls and everything. I think he had just had such a talented team all around him for so long.
can I cook here for a little bit?
Go for it, please cook, sir.
All right, so you know how we grew up in New England during all the Brady Belichick era,
Yeah.
right? And how that will go down, has gone down. It's one of the greatest sports eras of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots fans ruined it for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I knew you were going to talk about that, so I wanted to bait the hook, sir. I wanted to bait.
So, you know what? It's for the one specific reason is that outside of saying Brady's the greatest, again, that's on page 1 of NFL Facts. It's the first line of the book. Belichick being the greatest. So that's the second. It was either the combination of Brady, Belichick, and the GOATs, and then the 6 Super Bowls, or some variation of it. And that's all you had to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the Patriots were winning. Everyone in New England clung to it like they were part of the team. It's like, the Patriots lose a game they should win. It's like, So like whenever the Patriots lost, I'd actually like
Oh,
I
dude,
kind of hyped that up.
I
Just to
celebrated
kind
so
of
much. The best one is the Super Bowl, the '07 Super Bowl, right? When the Patriots were 16-0 in the regular season, and then what? They were 18-1 was their final record.
yeah, I wanted them to lose that
I
Super Bowl.
wanted them to lose that Super Bowl so badly, and the fact it was a Manning brother that ended another Tom Brady playoff run was even better.
And the fact Eli did it twice and nobody really talks about it anymore.
I I'll talk about it all day. That Eli Manning absolutely owned Tom Brady for his NFL career because he stopped him twice in the Super Bowl, and no one did that. No one beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. What? Three people have beat three. Tom Brady's lost what? Three Super Bowls, right? Four.
Yeah.
Because he lost to the Eagles and he lost to the Giants twice, and that's it, right?
Yeah, because they beat Kansas City. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, only two men have beaten Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. One is Eli Manning, who has two victories, and the other one is everyone's favorite backup quarterback, Nick Foles.
Large Richard Nick Foles.
Nick Foles. So this is actually going to be a hot take. I think Nick Foles is one of the most underrated players in the NFL ever.
Good all.
Because here's the thing. I just gave you one of the biggest facts in the world. The man beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. There are two men that have done that. One is Hall of Famer, or deserving to be Hall of Famer, Eli Manning, from the Manning gods that are football royalty, the Manning family, and the other one is Nick Foles.
Can you name another quarterback that beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl and got a statue the year after?
I honestly cannot. I don't think Eli has one.
No, but you'd think it would be him.
Yeah, but it's Nick Foles. Nick Foles, and I think he's criminally underrated. And yes, did he have a blip of greatness? Realistically, yes, that's all it was. But it came at the right damn time. I would love to have had my athletic career's greatest moment be, being the quarterback for a team and beating Tom friggin' Brady and the New England Patriots. This dynasty of a team, the gods among men, and you beat them. Like everyone celebrated it that. To some extent, I have friends that are Patriots fans. I was in college at the time, and I had friends that were like, dude, I honestly, it sucks. I'm a huge Patriots fan, but it was kind of hype watching Nick Foles and the Philly special. Like,
And now it's just like, I think the fact that the Patriots are in a very clear rebuild, and it's a very humbling sight to see Patriots fans endure what so many other fandoms have dealt with over the last 20-ish years.
oh, I agree.
It's just kind of, it's great because it kind of it takes them off the podium a little bit. But the outliers gonna be the Dallas Cowboys fan base. They're always gonna think they're on cloud nine, and they're always gonna think they're gonna win the Super Bowl every year. But
Hey, false hope is what drives you, right?
something's got to. If it's not your car.
Exactly. Good work, bud. I appreciate that little pun there. All right. So I think we need to make some because we're about an hour in here. I think it's time to make some more all heart no brains takes. So, as I said, kind of during our conversation about ego, I think personally, let's talk about who wins the championships for the major league sports. We're gonna exclude baseball because I think we're too far into the season to the point where well, it's obvious, like you kind of see the playoff picture already. So that's why I'm kind of excluding it. And ironically, I'm going to talk. One of the options one of the things we're going to have us talk about is the MLS, who also is very far into their season because they're 6 months into their season because they started in February. But I think because neither of us really heavily follow the MLS, I watch it a little bit. But I no brain. Who's your MLS Cup champion this year?
I'm gonna take FC Cincy.
FCC. Okay, that's a solid choice. They've been pretty good after being the crappiest team. If you had told me that 3 years ago, I would have literally laughed you out of this podcast, sir. They were so bad 3 years ago, but they've improved rapidly. I'm actually gonna go with. It's gonna be the New England Revolution. I think they are finally gonna do something they've never done since 1996. They've been in the league. They've never won an MLS Cup. I'm gonna say the Revs get it done. So we also both think the Eastern Conference is gonna win, ironically, which is kind of funny, uh, considering Columbus won last year. I want to say Columbus, but I was like, ooh, that's a little awkward because I don't like repeat champions, so I can't pick them. Even though the only MLS match I've been to this year was Columbus at New England, and it was 5-1 Columbus, and they absolutely walloped the Revolution. After the Revolution scored first. So, there's that. Who wins the NFL, the Super Bowl? Who is your Super Bowl champ? All heart, no brains.
I'm gonna give it to the San Francisco 49ers. I think they finally get the hurdle. I just don't want to see Mahomes win 3 in a row. I don't really like repeats, but I think Mahomes is the exception. But I just don't want to see it. Brady's already done it. I don't want to see it again.
That's fair.
It's just the recency bias. I'm not trying to throw shade there. I'm just the recency bias of Tom Brady doing it.
That's why.
Yeah, I just don't want to see it.
That's why it's all heart, no brains. Because you're allowed to have your recency bias. I'm gonna go kind of out there. I'm gonna say it's the Chicago Bears. I think they were gonna be such a 180 from their team the last couple years. I'm gonna say it's the Bears.
You know what? I'm gonna throw a second team in there,
Alright.
and this is gonna be a very biased one.
Oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Obviously, write it down.
I am. Obviously, if there has to be an AFC champion, because we have to have an AFC champion, it's the Cleveland Browns. For me. So.
How about your favorite quarterback?
I almost picked the Bucks, but because they've won recently, I really didn't want to pick them. As much as I want to see Baker get a Super Bowl. Because Baker is still my favorite. We'll skip the NHL for a second. NBA, the National Basketball Association.
This is the only time I'm gonna go with a repeat champion.
Really?
The Boston Celtics.
So, I'm going to go. I don't think it's a wild choice, honestly. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Giannis is going to do something this year. And by do something, I mean he's going to do the thing. He's going to win a championship. Because he has not done that yet, right? They've folded every.
He's won. He's won.
Oh, they won a couple years ago, right?
Yep, but that would also help me out in my editing career
Exactly.
with what I got going on, and brings another championship to Mass technically.
Fair.
Yeah, technically.
All right.
You don't know this, do you?
Pat Cunningham's from Mass. He's from like
It's
Framingham or
not-
something.
Jonathan's from Arlington.
Okay. I knew it was close. Framingham and Arlington aren't that far apart.
They're really not, but they traffic-wise make it seem like they're a lot further away.
Everything in Massachusetts, it's traffic-wise, makes it seem like it's really far away.
That's another hot take, but we'll talk about that later.
And last but certainly not least, Alex, all heart, no brains. You're Stanley Cup champion, and the reason I picked it last is because I think we can agree it's the greatest trophy in sports. I don't think there's a trophy cooler than the Stanley Cup.
It's going to be cooler when Connor McDavid wins it this year.
Really, you think the Oilers are going to do it?
Yeah.
Ready? I bet you didn't expect this one. I think we're going to have a Canadian. I also think the team that wins the cup is going to be from Canada. doing all heart, no brains. I don't have to justify my hot take here. Again, we used brains coming up with the segment, not actually doing the segment. But yeah, so to run it through one more time, just as a for you when you do your YouTube short or whatever you choose to do. Um, all heart, no brains take. Also, Cali Guy 96, thank you for the follow. I did hear the alert go off, but I wanted to get to a point where we weren't riffing real well. Your takes: MLS champion is FC Cincinnati. Your NFL champion is the 49ers. Alternatively, the Steelers. So realistically, you're calling a Steelers 49ers Super Bowl. Your
Sure.
Your NBA champion is the Boston Celtics, and you have the Edmonton Oilers lifting Lord Stanley in June. I, on the other hand, have the New England Revolution finally getting it done. I'm calling it Bears-Browns Super Bowl with a Bears win. I have the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis going back to the promised land because I had forgotten that they had won a championship. And then I have the Montreal Canadiens lifting Lord Stanley, which would ironically be the most recent team to win the Stanley Cup. That's Canadian. Both of them would be the Canadiens because they are the ones that lifted in '93 to never be lifted by a Canadian team again. In that time, Vancouver's made 2 trips. Edmonton's made 2 trips. Montreal's made a trip. Yeah. So those are the teams that have competed for it. Like, truly competed for it. Here's
Winnipeg hasn't been at it though, have they?
Winnipeg has not been in a cup final because they would have moved to so the original Jets moved to Arizona in '96 and then moved to Utah this year, and the Thrashers moved for the 2011 season to Winnipeg, and then Ottawa hasn't been in the cup final. You had so obviously last year you had the Oilers, they were in the cup final, and then prior to that it was the 2021 season, you know, the one where they did the Canadian division, and
Yeah.
the Canadians won out of the Canadian division and then beat Vegas in the semifinals to go to the cup final. Then prior to that, you hadn't had a Canadian team in the cup since 2011, and that was Vancouver. And then prior to that, when the Hurricanes win in 06, 07, whenever the Hurricanes win, they beat Edmonton. And then '94, the Rangers beat the Canucks. And that's all your Canadian teams that have competed for the cup since the Canadians won the cup in '93. I believe I did that correctly. This was a fun game we used to play at dinner. When last season, they used to ask me, they'd rifle off a year, and I would give them the Stanley Cup champion. What's wild is I had like a 90% hit rate. So since 1994, because '93 the Canadians won, Vancouver has lost.
Vancouver lost and almost burned down the city. What?
That's 2011. Oh, Calgary lost in '04. Calgary lost in '04. I forgot about Calgary's '04 loss. Edmonton lost in '06. Ottawa lost in '07. I didn't know Ottawa made it to the Stanley Cup Finals ever. And then Vancouver in '11. Okay, so I forgot about Ottawa and Calgary's trips. So everyone but Winnipeg has made a trip to the Cup Final. Cool. Because neither versions of Winnipeg have made they mark 20, 21 Canadians, they didn't mark them as the Western Conference champion, but they were the Western Conference champion. The Canada division was part of the Western Conference. So they've won both the Prince of Wales and the they've won the Prince of Wales and the I forget the other one. I forget the other trophy. Oh, the Campbell. Right, because the Campbell division is it used to be the Campbell and the Wales division, which they should bring that back. Hot take, but any other hot takes you have tonight, sir?
I mean, it's not really a hot take. It's more of a not surprising. Is that the Steelers announced their starting quarterback today?
Russell Wilson.
It is Russell Wilson. And Matt might have kind of knew that since they brought him in.
So the NFL's we have one more week before the NFL, right?
A week from tomorrow.
Okay. So next week, Alex, we need to do a quote-unquote NFL preview, but again, kind of in the all heart, no brains style. And we need to get our projected records and finishing order for each division. So if you want to fire it off now, we can. If you want to wait till next week, we can.
I'd rather do it next week so we can actually have something next week.
Okay.
Personally, but we can.
I like that play.
So I can put a little bit of thought into it, but then after that we can just.
I'm gonna put zero thought into it, because
I was I'm a.
to be fair, my hot takes in general when it comes to champions have been pretty damn good. So.
Yeah, I mean, I at least want to think about the divisions just a little bit.
Oh, me too. I'm gonna have to actually look at them and say, because the hardest thing for me is just knowing which teams are in which divisions, because I always get that fucked up.
Like I kind of know the placement of them, but I'd rather just kind of have a week to do this and then.
Yo, I agree 100%. All right, I think on that note, we're gonna head off into the abyss. Sir, as always, I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I think I just want to throw in a quick social bit. We are gonna do some more fantasy draft content, as we alluded to earlier. We have another one. We'll probably do the same split that we did from last week, where we'll probably post the drafted teams first and then break them down on the episode.
Yeah.
So we'll probably just get a quick reel on both teams out this week, and if I have time for a third, we'll get a third one out. But I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm going to try to get one thing out at a time.
No, I think that's where we wrap this up for the night, and I want to thank you guys for coming out and hanging out for whatever amount of time you did. I hope you enjoyed our hot takes and lukewarm takes and just takes in general. And Alex, I have to say, I know I didn't say this at all, but the Expo shirt, perfect choice tonight.
Always. But one more thing, you know, people that like to check us out, send them our way. Hopefully we can entertain them for you.
Yep, and you can see the rotating bar has been throwing all of our socials. I can tell you I will be live tomorrow on Twitch. There will actually be, I'll be doing some gaming. I don't know what game I'm going to play yet. I haven't decided. I'll decide while I drive home from work like I do every night. Probably Hitman, because I've been enjoying Hitman recently.
And if whenever you're gaming and I'm home, I know tomorrow night I won't be, but I'll just hang and chat.
Yep.
If I'm ever home and you're doing a solo stream, or we're not doing
Yeah,
any combo stream. So
yeah. And I have to make you a mod in my stream. I think you're just a VIP, and I'm gonna up you to mod status. Congratulations, you're finding out you're
I
getting
feel like
promoted live on air.
I feel like I peaked in life. Oh, so I'm not an intern anymore, is what you're saying?
Oh no, you're still an unpaid intern, but you're like, so like here, let me draw you a picture so that you can crudely draw a Microsoft Paint picture to throw over this when you eventually make this into some sort of content. If nothing else, just to send to our friends. So if this is like the pyramid, right? I'm at the top, the big cheese, and just a piece of cheese is perfect, like a piece of Swiss cheese. Um, then below me is the whole unpaid interns tier, and there's tiers. There's viewer, right? Because let's be real, when you go view a stream, you're actually paying either by cash for by paying for subs for your subscriptions or watching ads. You're paying either with your time or your money, or in some case both, to be there. Then you have like your VIPs who have paid a lot more, right? Again, pyramid scheme. Again, time or money, they've paid a lot more. And then above that, you have your mods who are making sure that all the other unpaid people are behaving while you're also being unpaid. And that is the economy of Twitch. And I know that that's a really crude um, drawing, word picture, but that's kind of how it works. And I hope you appreciated that visual. And I expect some really crappy Microsoft Paint drawing to be made out of this.
No, I'm inserting the SpongeBob meme, and that's all that's in the budget.
Oh, we're gonna have to increase that budget from 1 cent to 2 cents.
No, we're going from 0 cents to 1 cent. What are you talking about?
Oh, maybe we'll go up to 2 cents on the budget.
Look, we're open to. You know what? We'll just swing out a big 20 leg parlay for about $5, and then we'll go from there.
You know,
Are we gonna roll out any parlays, or are we just gonna leave that off?
we'll leave that off. We'll get into gambling again. I'm not allowed to being that I work in hockey. I'm not allowed to bet on hockey, so we will not talk about hockey betting.
I was strictly doing football. I was strictly
Any way,
talking
shape, or
football.
form. Honestly, let's do a week 1 parlay next week.
Yeah, well, we gotta do some research on the. So I think
Research.
since we're gonna go live. Since we're,
Next week.
I do like to look at the odds because they're gonna change between.
Next Wednesday
Now-
will be a better time. So I'm thinking, for content reasons, the next 2 weeks will be Wednesday pods, and then I think we'll be shifting to Thursdays as of the 19th. If that works for you. I can't start Thursdays on the 12th because it's the girlfriend's birthday. That's night's got to be all about her.
Yeah, and I think the closer it is to when you have to start getting back, you're already back in that mode. But I think when you kind of overdrive back in that mode,
Yeah, so I
you
think
can get this kind of.
I think the week of the 19th is good because we actually have. I cannot pod the 26th though because I actually have an event that night that I have to work.
So I don't know if we can. If there's another night that week, we can shift.
Yeah.
We can shift where we need
So
to.
we're gonna have 2 events that week. That's kind of the hard part because we're gonna have our paint the ice in our garage sale. So
Worst case, we can probably. Worst case, we can probably batch record some offline stuff, and we can just use that to supplement. So.
yeah, and we'll figure it out. This is the conversations we need to have when we're not doing all heart no brains night. But sir, where can they find you on social media? We'll actually plug your social media for a second here.
Oh no, we'll do. I'll build the ticker for all that later.
Yeah, that's one thing we should do.
Find it. You go through our profile, all the Boston Skyline profiles, all of our socials are there.
Yep,
So definitely feel free to tap in there.
obviously anything that's tagged Hike Shadow is me, as you can tell by the Twitch channel that we use. I do put some of my gaming content on YouTube. I've gotten pretty bad about that because it's a lot of work, and I don't like doing work that's after work. Um, so I have to get better about doing that in general. And that's kind of
Um,
honestly,
yeah, then
that's kind of where this idea got birthed from. Because I was asking you to kind of edit up my Twitch streams, and
and
then
then we just decided to.
and then you were like,
this.
"Hey, I
Here
want
we
to do
are.
a podcast," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." And now we're what, 10 or 11 weeks into this thing, and not
We're
looking back.
a little more than that, but we have 11. We're gonna have 11 full episodes up, or whatever number we're at on YouTube as of probably tomorrow morning. So,
But yeah, we're not looking back.
so yeah. So if you missed any part of this stream, we'll have the full version up on here, but also on YouTube by tomorrow afternoon, more than likely.
Exactly. Have yourself a fantastic night, and have a good one. Bye.
See ya.